Ladies and gentlemen, the War of the Worlds main event of the evening. Please welcome first to the ring, the challenger for the title, Robin Reid!
The night he lost that world title, and since then 14 months in the shadows. Tonight the big chance for Robin Reid to climb back onto the world stage, but will he be good enough? What do you think, Glenn?
Well, everybody around him says he's so up for this fight. This is the inspiration, everything he needs to get himself back as a world champion. And I mean, you're speaking to him before the fight, he seems really, really confident, very, very positive. I think he kind of likes being the underdog. It inspires him to do really good things. So, you know, he feels happy in this position.
Well, he was the underdog the night that he won his world title away from home against the man you've just seen recently, Vincenzo Naliello, in Italy. He can be a complex character sometimes, hard for the cornermen to get through to. He was adopted as a child, but he's grown up to be something of a success story. He sometimes does a bit of male modelling, but has put that to one side now to try to get his boxing career right back on track. The worry I have about Robin Reid is that all his best performances, you have to go back a couple of years. He's had a run of 2 or 3 not so good ones.
Yes, the last few fights he just hasn't been performing well. Whether the world title, there's just to look at how much he's up for this fight. Really, really is. But yes, Ian, you know, his performances haven't been good. You do have to go back a long way.
Look how fired up he is. Look how fired up Robin Reid is. He wants this badly. Well, I haven't seen anything like this, a display of emotion like this, since Oliver McCall came in tears that night at Wembley against Frank Bruno.
He's very, very aggressive. I've never seen anybody come into the ring that aggressive before.
I've never seen it from him before.
He wants it really, really badly. Brian Hughes, they're very, very confident that he's going to do it. Very confident.
They won't hear of defeat. Brian Hughes, the trainer, who works from the inner city gym in Manchester, says that Reid is in the best shape. He's been in for 7.5 years. The training's gone just right. Can he be the first man to beat Joe Calzaghe? It's fascinating. Meanwhile, backstage, Joe Calzaghe is preparing to make his entrance. Calzaghe, who is always so full of self-belief that a lot of people think he's a cocky and arrogant young man. He isn't really. He's pretty straightforward. He just has got a lot of belief in himself.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the WBO Super Middleweight Champion of the World, Joe Calzaghe!
There really is a rising sense of anticipation here. Are we about to see one of the great champion at 3 different weights? A success story built from a little blue hut beside Newbridge Rugby Club in South Wales. A humble story, really. Trained by his father, who grew up in the same village as the Italian soccer star Gianfranco Zola, and who later went to school in England with he as pumped up as Reid?
He doesn't look as pumped up as Reid, but he's a different type of personality, and he's very, very confident. He'll love this occasion. As well, you talked about his powerful punches. He's a very, very fast puncher with lightning reflexes. Really is a good talent, and this is a terrific match.
It really is a night for the Glamour boys. Calzaghe, Reid, and later Oscar De La Hoya to come. Chilling.
Well, he means business, but they both do. This is such an important fight for both these competitors.
A year older, they grew up as young guns in this division. They were always destined to fight. Calzaghe's the taller man, although interestingly Reid has the bigger reach there. Calzaghe had to weigh in 20 minutes late. He had a bit of a problem getting inside the 12 stone, admits he's tight at the weight. Both turned pro in 1993. The records are pretty similar really, though Calzaghe has looked the real puncher of the two. Reid is the counter puncher, and that might suit him. Calzaghe went the full 12 rounds against Chris Eubank. Reid has done it on 3 occasions. 28 knockdowns for Reid, 26 for Calzaghe, and neither of them have been on the floor. Look what the bookies say about this, because people in the trade think it's quite a tight fight, but the bookies are in no doubt. They say Calzaghe 5-1 on, Reid 100 to 30 with a draw 50 to 1. Some bookmakers make Calzaghe 7-1 on, with Reid 4-1 against.
Ladies and gentlemen, the officials appointed for this contest by the World Boxing Organization, President Francesco Valcasel, of the supervisor, Mr. Gordon Volkman of Chicago, the British Boxing Board of Control representative, the General Secretary of the British Boxing Board of Control, Mr. John Morris. The steward in charge is Mr. Bob Graham, BEM. The timekeeper for this contest, Mr. Arnold Bryson from Darlington, England. And the judges at ringside, Mr. Robert Bird from California, USA, Mr. John Duggan from Chicago, and Mr. Paul Thomas from Derby, England. And the referee in charge of the action for this contest, tonight officiating in his 85th World Title contest, one of the world's leading referees, Mr. Roy Francis from London. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, from the city of Newcastle upon Tyne and the Telly West Arena, live on Sky Box Office and around the world and across Britain and Europe, ladies and gentlemen, it's big fight time! Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, sponsored by Alpha Club International and All Sports, Frank Warren proudly presents the War of the World's main event of World Championship Boxing. And a contest of 12 3-minute rounds to decide the WBO Super Middleweight Championship of the World. And introducing the boxers, and firstly, fighting out of the red corner, he wears the black and white trunks and comes from Runcorn in Cheshire. He holds a professional record of 28 contests, 26 wins, 9 19 wins by way of knockout, with 1 loss and 1 draw. He's a former 1992 Olympic Games bronze medalist, the former WBC Super Middleweight Champion of the world, and the challenger tonight, the Grim Reaper, Reid. And his opponent, ladies and gentlemen, across the ring in the blue corner, wearing the plain black trunks, fighting out on Newbridge in South Wales. He has an incredible, perfect record, 25 contests, 25 wins, 23 by way of the big knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, he's the former 3 times ABA champion, the former undefeated British Super Middleweight champion, and tonight makes the 3rd defence as the WBO Super Middleweight champion of the world, Joe the Terminator Calzaghe. And the referee, Mr. Noel Francis, will now give his instructions to both boxers.
Got it? I'll put the other one neutral corner. Okay? When I say bait, stand bait. Exactly what I mean. Got it? Shake hands. Have a good one.
Tough referee, Roy Francis.
Super Middleweight Championship of the world.
Calzaghe's 3rd defence. 25-0. Reid, only 1 defeat in 28 contests so far. Calzaghe defending his world championship. Reid looking to become a world champion all over again. Can Reid take Calzaghe's power? And if he can, what happens then? Calzaghe, the southpaw, Reid with the white trimmings on his trunks. A sellout Newcastle arena, a terrific atmosphere. Is this going to be one of the great domestic battles to go alongside the likes of the Minter-Finnegan fights, and more recently the battles between Ben and Eubank and Collins? No love lost between these two, believe me, and it was nothing phony in the build-up. They don't like each other that much.
No, they don't. Reid said there's no love lost. I don't like the man. I think when it's all over, they'll be friends. They have that respect. Obviously, this is such a big fight. You can't afford to have any good feelings for your opponent.
Reid is a natural counter-puncher, so if Calzaghe tries to close in, he'll be looking for the counters. Remember that Calzaghe had Eubank down in the 1st round, but that turned out to be a 12-round thriller in the end.
They're both very, very tense, and they're coming together, and there's a bit of grabbing and a bit of talking in there.
Calzaghe a little anxious not to commit himself, a bit wary maybe the counter. There's that left hand again, gets through with it. Second time he has. Reid has never been floored or stopped, amateur or pro. So if Calzaghe stops him, we'll know even more about that punch power. Calzaghe standing on the launch pad to fame. Reid getting warned about the holding.
Calzaghe was trying to work inside. Reid was grabbing his arms and twisting them.
Tempers could get frayed. Calzaghe's dangerous left hand, which must be watched. And now look at this, Reid's grabbing onto the legs of Calzaghe here. He's hanging on for dear life. Calzaghe says, anyone who takes any of my punches, there will be a reaction, believe me.
Reid's very, very wary, almost intimidated. He's decent right hand there from Reid.
And another one. Reid's first successes, and his fans suddenly become very animated. Reid at last starts to fight. As you said, he looked just a little bit awestruck in the first half a minute, holding on for dear life. punch from Robin Reid. Can he rediscover his best form here? He'll need to produce, you feel, an inspired display. Reid holds up his hands aloft as if to say, well, I've got through one round of it. And he came back quite well in the later stages of the round, Glenn.
Yes, he did. There wasn't a great deal in that round. They both had a little bit of success, messy towards the beginning of the round, but then they just started to let a few more punches go. Both had successes. Very even round. Hasn't really started them to let their punches go yet.
Calzaghe's punch didn't land, and then it got messy. Reid got a warning for holding.
That was Reid's right hand. That's his best punch, the overhand right. He throws that right hand as a hook, and it works very well. There's a bit of damage around the face of Reid. They're working on a little bit of a lump or something that's coming up there. Nothing too much to worry about.
Reid made 3 successful defences when he was world champion before losing his title to Sugar Boy Malinga. His performance that night was mysteriously lethargic. Reid, remember, with the white trimmings on the trunks. Calzaghe, the young Welshman, only the 9th world champion ever from Wales, following in the footsteps of great names like Jim Driscoll, Jimmy Wilde and Howard Winston. A lot of Welsh flags around too in the arena.
Calzaghe taking the fight too, Reid looking for openings there. Reid forced to cover up.
Calzaghe says the key to this fight is not only his power but his speed as well.
Roy Francis working very hard to keep this fight clean.
Just getting a little bit reddened around the face already, Reid. Remember, neither man has been on the floor yet.
Calzaghe, as we expected, coming forward, pushing Reid onto the back foot, but that'll suit him. He likes counter punching.
Calzaghe careful not to charge in and leave himself open to that counter. Both a little wary of each other. There's the right hand from Reid, though. Good hand speed from him. Maybe he's just growing in confidence a little. Notice that Reid's got a pretty thick-set neck, almost like Tyson, which suggests that he's going to be good at absorbing punches. It's proved to be the case so far in his career, but then Calzaghe might be something else.
Very, very different physiques. Reid very, very muscular. Calzaghe much leaner and longer muscles.
Calzaghe, a big, tall man to get inside 12 stone. He may soon, I think, have to move up to light heavyweight. Both fighting for the first time in 10 months as well.
Good punches from Calzaghe now.
He's getting the better of the argument slightly in this second round. Calzaghe.
He's just a little bit sharper to the punch, Ian. She's got Reid on the back foot. Reid struggling a little with the speed of Calzaghe.
Landed simultaneously, but Calzaghe's round, I think. Well, it's beginning to boil up all right, but Reid, you're right, he does have a problem with Calzaghe's hand speed.
Yes, he does. He's just quicker to the punch. Calzaghe here just trying to work Reid over to the body, looking for the gaps around the elbows. Reid trying to cover up well there.
It's a good right hand, wasn't it, by Reid?
Good right hand. That's the punch that Calzaghe has to be wary of. It's a good counter punch that he throws.
It looked a better punch in slow motion than it did when we saw it at real speed, didn't it?
Yes, it was very good. It just whisked past the chin. It didn't really get it with Calzaghe coming onto it.
Third round, Calzaghe has predicted many things for this fight, but his general one is he'll win inside 3 or 4 rounds. Will he be right? Calzaghe defending his WBO super middleweight title for the 3rd time here. Reid gets in a punch and Calzaghe flashes a smile, and Calzaghe's growing in confidence.
Calzaghe was letting good shots go there. He smiled because he caught Reid with that good straight left hand.
Calzaghe was quite dismissive about Reid when I interviewed him. He said he thought Reid was a couple of divisions below him. Beginning to showboat him there. Calzaghe's like he's starting to enjoy himself.
I think he grew in confidence with that straight left hand.
Might complacency be a problem for him?
Well, he shouldn't get too flashy with someone like Reid.
He gets in with a body shot and then clubs him around the head. Calzaghe holding on. Brief little moment of success for Reid. He needs more of them. The Malinga fight made me worry about Reid, whether when he's put in with somebody who he feels presents him with too many problems, whether he just switches off a bit.
Well, I'm not sure whether that was just because the fight was so lackluster and he had to work, and there's a little bit of a lazy streak in Reid, where in this fight, you know, there's no call for that. Calzaghe's going to be right there and he's going to make him fight.
He does tend to drift in and out of fights, Reid. Did that even when he was world champion.
Calzaghe's boxing good at long range, the jab and the straight left working well.
Calzaghe's speed, Reid looking a little bemused by it at the moment. Calzaghe right on top. 3rd round. He's beginning to put these together in combinations too, Calzaghe now. This is the young Welshman who may be on the launch pad for fame and stardom in the United States. Has a really cracking left hand too from Calzaghe. He now winks at somebody at ringside.
I think he's winking to the Reid corner, showing his confidence, his disdain for their man. Really just getting into his rhythm now, Calzaghe. Looking confident.
This is looking a big job for Robin Reid at the moment. Calzaghe may have been spot on with his assessment that speed was the key. There's Enzo Calzaghe, his father, working in the corner with Ernie Fossey, who's doing the cuts, should that become a problem.
Well, good punches from Calzaghe. Looked very confident. There's the straight left hand that we heard Enzo Calzaghe called for in the corner. Worked so well, and then starting to get confident here, putting his combinations together with great speed. Reid just calling him in. They were scoring punches for Calzaghe.
10 seconds.
Mixing it up quite cleverly, Calzaghe. I thought he really looked the part when he beat Eubank. Eubank performed well that night too. Eubank was asking questions and Calzaghe was answering nearly all of them about his heart, his chin, his ability to get involved in an intense battle and prevail.
And it made the result look even better when Eubank put up great performances against Carl Thompson at the heavier cruiserweight. So that really did make the performance look good for Joe Calzaghe.
So what can Reid do about this? Let's see. 4th round. Reid getting his gloves up. Well, he's catching quite a few on the gloves, to be fair, but he didn't catch that one. Reid prepared to gamble.
Well, it's just the hand speed that's giving me problems at the moment. Just quick punches are getting in. He's just getting a little bit flustered and frustrated and not really knowing what's coming next.
Good right hand from Reid. The right's his dangerous punch. And a little warning from Roy Francis.
I think Reid's showing his frustration at the way things are going there. Just banging him down on the back of the head.
The stats said that Reid had a reach advantage, but it doesn't look like that, does it? Not when you see them there. Big long levers of Calzaghe. Calzaghe has also been saying, people just think I'm a puncher, but I can box as well. How do you think I won all those ABA titles? Might have a point about that too.
Yes, he's showing good boxing skills here. He's beating Reid to the jab, and Reid's finding that a little bit difficult to cope with.
Reid's countering right. Reid again trying to rough up Calzaghe at close quarters.
Calzaghe just pouring out that southpaw jab, but then he comes back with quick punches.
Reid's trying to walk through these shots to land his own, but got picked off by a dazzling combination from Calzaghe. He really has got fast, blurring hand speed at times, Calzaghe.
He really has. They just seemed to sting Reid for a little bit. He was bemused by those shots.
He's looking the business again here so far, Calzaghe. Some of us wondered whether he was just covering up an injury. There had been reports coming out of Wales about the sparring being curtailed and maybe problems still with the elbow and maybe the shoulder. But if there are problems, they're not showing here so far.
Working very well, Joe Calzaghe, behind that jab. He said he had boxing ability and not just to look at the punching. But look at that, 37 jabs to Reid. You know, he's working that punch so well, and Reid just, the hand speed combined with that good fast jab, he just can't get his own punches off, just can't get set. And I think Reid just got a little bit bemused with these shots going in. A couple of good ones, just short, but he does seem to get power into those short shots.
Good stuff from Calzaghe, who's looking the part.
Second down, round 5.
Well, Calzaghe didn't finish it inside 3 or 4 rounds, but he's certainly dominant. Reid, remember, is the one with the white trimmings on the trunks, in case you're seeing these two for the first time. Calzaghe with his name written on his waistband anyway.
And that's how I have it with Calzaghe pulling away, giving him the second, third and fourth rounds. He's looking good and just faster and beating Reid to the punch.
Oh, good right hand from Reid. Maybe his shot of the contest. That really sent the sweat spraying from Calzaghe's head. But Calzaghe's chin seems to be okay too. Certainly looked at in the Eubank fight. Eubank's a pretty decent puncher himself, and there he goes again. That's better speed from Reid. Well, that's as much encouragement as Robin Reid has had in a while. 2 right hands.
Well, he needed something like that, Reid, just to change the tide, give Calzaghe something to think about.
Oh, and a great body shot from Reid too. His best work in a while here. Oh, and then, as the referee was saying, brain, Reid clumps Calzaghe with a huge right hand. Roy Francis, the referee, furious with him.
I don't know if he heard the referee, because he was talking to his corner. He was seeing something to his corner over the shoulder of Calzaghe just prior to that.
Well, it looked a spot of gamesmanship to me.
Well, he got away with it,
Got away
so
with
it
it.
had the effect.
Reid still looks strong, doesn't he, for everything he's taken?
He looks strong, and all of a sudden this right hand has started to just stop the jab coming out. He's not doing as much, Calzaghe, maybe having to think about things.
Oh, it's another cracking right, exploded by Reid. Are we seeing a twist in the plot here in the 5th?
And this could be the confidence booster that Reid needs.
Body shots and headshots from Reid, who suddenly found some inspiration here in the 5th. Well, this is boiling up now, isn't it?
It really is. What a good contest. Reid's now got some belief that he can hurt Calzaghe with that overhand right.
If Reid's going to start asking questions like this really could turn into something rather special. That's Reid's round.
Heads were coming very close. There seemed to be a thump just at the end there.
Brian Hughes in the corner, and there's been a change as well. No Pat Barrett anymore. Steve Goodwin in there. Now look at this. There's the first of the right hands from Robin Reid, and there were more to come.
Yes, good right hands from Reid. Just getting a bit of a foothold there. He needed to do. There's the one to the body. There, he's talking to his corner, and then he didn't hear there. He was too busy giving some message to Brian Hughes, and then just decided he saw the space he'd give Calzaghe a pop.
For good measure. There's another one. Calzaghe looking open to that and looking less happy on the back foot.
Well, that is a question mark. He doesn't go back very often. What's he like on the back foot?
Well, maybe Reid, who naturally would fight on the back foot himself, maybe he's just got a little clue there. Will he try to build on that and switch entirely the tactics and strategies we thought we'd see beforehand? Will he say to Calzaghe, I'm going to take the fight to you, see how you like it when you've got to try and counter-punch? Could happen, let's see.
Well, it wasn't going his way, so he did need a change of direction.
And if he's been smart enough to work that out, to switch plan in mid-fight, that would be very good indeed. Show real boxing brains. He did need to do something, didn't he?
Yes, he did. It was just starting to slip away from him. Calzaghe was growing in confidence, and again that right hand is a successful one for Reid.
Was the 5th just a blip for Calzaghe, or is it a turning point in the fight? Here's the 6th now. Reid's fans beginning to make some noise. Maybe they're growing in hope. Calzaghe's getting up. That hand, left glove, but it didn't stop the right hand there again.
You just sense this right hand is starting to bother Calzaghe. He just can't get out the way of it.
Don't underestimate Reid's power either. He can be very hurtful. He might not be a one-punch knockout artist, but he's getting through with some. Has Reid got a cut there? Let's have a look. Yeah, he's cut on the cheek. Right cheek. Shouldn't be too much of a problem, that. Dabs away at it, wonders what's happened. It's not the eye.
And this is really warming up. They're both prepared to stand centre ring now and trade blows.
This is developing into an absolutely absorbing and intriguing battle now, much more even than it was a couple of rounds ago. It looked as if Calzaghe was going to skate away with it, but Reid has come up with a new plan, using his elbow there rather freely. Robin Reid. That's good to see this, isn't it? Two youngish British fighters in a really good battle for a world championship.
Yes, it's good to see clashes like this when you're getting fighters really still very much in their prime, brought together for big titles like this.
Well, Reid has come back well here. I wonder what our guest tonight, the former world title contender Kevin Lushing, is making of things. Here he is with Rob McCaffrey.
I think it's fair to say that we both think the tide's maybe turning a little bit there.
I'm seeing an upset here. Robbie's beginning to believe in himself. He's beginning to throw punches. Oh, it's exciting.
What is the key? The right hand.
The right hand. He's hit every time he's thrown it. He's hitting him, and he hasn't changed. Calzaghe hasn't changed his tactic. I'm looking for an upset here. I'm excited.
Thanks, Kevin.
Well, an upset, says Kevin Lushing. I'm not sure I'd go that far yet. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to call this from here, would you?
No, it's just becoming much more even. It looked as if Calzaghe was going to start pulling away. Now Reid showing character and gameness and getting himself very much back in the fight. Starting to ask questions about the chin of Calzaghe.
And the good news for Reid is he's taken Calzaghe's punches and hasn't looked like going down. I wonder whether that might just have a psychological effect on Calzaghe. I don't think he went in expecting to blast Reid away. I think he knew that Reid was usually pretty durable. But nonetheless, it does just maybe put a little doubt there in the back of his mind somewhere. Reid just looking a little swollen up around the cheekbones, apart from that cut on the right cheek he has. Watching at ringside, Richie Woodall, you can see him in the background there in the black tracksuit. He's done his job for the night. Hopes to meet the winner.
Still giving each other plenty of respect, just looking for openings.
A quieter 7th round so far. Calzaghe getting that left glove up more to protect himself from Reid's dangerous right. Calzaghe admits he's a bit tight at 12 stone. If he is so tight that it's a real problem, might he just begin to fade later on in the contest? There's certainly no sign of that. It's just something to look for, possibly.
There's a nice body punch went in there, and Reid's still being rough in the clinches, just using a little bit of gamesmanship there. Calzaghe going back to his boxing, looking for these to get the fast southpaw jab going again.
Calzaghe rangy and powerful, Reid much more bull-like and squat. Southpaw playing orthodox. Calzaghe clearly none the worse for that much publicised incident with the glass in his ice cream. He clearly didn't eat it.
Well, this has been a much closer round. Not a great deal happened.
Just get the impression the two of them are just reassessing things. Not much in that round, really.
Yes, I think that the tide of the fight has changed a couple of times, and now they're both, as you say, and just assessing, looking to see what's happening.
Let's have a look at our little graph of punches landed so far, and you can see that Calzaghe, that's the blue line, Calzaghe of punches landed per round, dominating early, but then Reid having a good couple of rounds and very little in it in that last one. So here's what Glenn McCrory's scorecard says. He will explain it to you.
Well, I've got it pretty close. There's not a lot, and just 1 point ahead for Calzaghe. You see the 5th and 6th ahead. Reid coming back into it with the last one. Not a lot happening, given that one a draw.
Wonders I'll never see, so I've got an identical scorecard.
You're not copying mine.
I'm not going to.
I know you're not.
Used to copy my maths homework. Right, it's the 8th round. Reid, remember, the challenger with those white trimmings on the trunks, the Scouser. Originally from Runcorn, he now lives in Bolton. Calzaghe from Newbridge in South Wales. Just quietened down a little over the last couple of rounds. You're just waiting almost for the next dramatic development, who will take over late on in the fight. Calzaghe did some great things early on, and Reid came back at him. Now what next?
Still, he's going to get wrong for the head.
One more time, says Roy Francis. Has warned Reid about the rough stuff a few times, and he's on the verge of getting a point deducted. And that could be vital if it's a bit tight on the scorecards, this. Hitting the gloves, Calzaghe there, I thought. Non-scoring punches.
Reid's doing more of the spoiling in this round.
I think Reid will feel that he needs to do this emphatically if he's going to get the nod. As Calzaghe starts to open up again, Reid's having none of that. Back he comes. Suddenly it hots up again in the 8th. Roy Francis, the referee, has definitely got his beady eye on Robin Reid. Big headshots from the pair of them. Better round again, this one.
Calzaghe's trying to pick up the pace. Looking for sharper punches. One low, I think, there went in from Reid.
Is he going to get a point deducted here? Timeout, says Roy Francis. 1 point off for Robin Reid. He's had a few warnings, he shoots glances. 5 times, I've told you, says Roy Francis. How vital might that prove? It wasn't for any one indiscretion, it was for a series by Reid.
Well, I think he did have to make a point, Roy Francis. Reid was trying pretty much everything. I know he has to look for gamesmanship. He's looking to try and just out-rough Calzaghe, just to get him out of his stride. But then, you know, that can go too far.
But the effect of that is basically it's another round to Calzaghe. Calzaghe's just picked up his speed and tempo a little more in this round, whipping in the combinations, probably did a bit more in that session. How'd you score that one, Glenn?
Well, I give it as a Calzaghe round, and then, so it would be 10-9, and then with the point off, a 10-8 round, so a very costly round for Robin Reid, and look at it there, very, very low.
Here he is again, but he was on thin ice, Robin Reid. He knew it. He'd been warned earlier in the round, and it was inevitable. And earlier on, good exchange of punches. Calzaghe's body shot was good.
Yes, there were good punches from Calzaghe. Nice right hook to the body, and Reid got back with one himself. But I think Calzaghe did more in the round just to clinch it.
9th round, and that deduction has left Robin Reid probably with quite a bit to do. 4 rounds remaining. I would say at a guess that he's about 3 points behind Reid at this stage.
Yes, that's how I have it. A very costly round, the last one. just getting it closer together, Reid, when he's let it slip with that.
Oh, big right hand. Reid got through again with the counter shot. Let that left glove drop, and Calzaghe got caught, but his chin looks good. Uppercut, classy shot, and he switch hits for a moment. Calzaghe again just starting to grow in confidence again, the Welshman.
Maybe a little bit of frustration coming into this from Reid.
You just wondered if he was starting to turn the tables, didn't you? Around the 5th round, but he hasn't quite been able to build on that.
There's another decent right hand from Reid. That's the punch that he's having more success with.
Oh, and again, as they worked in close.
Well, that could have been all right if the referee hadn't have said break, which he mustn't have.
And again, right hand Reid.
Well, Reid's maybe just roughing Calzaghe out of it in this round. Had good success with that right hand.
He has. And again, to take one back, mind you, but Reid getting in the more solid, cleaner shots in this 9th round. He needed to win this round after what happened in the last one with the point deduction. Oh, terrific shot! Reid shot at the fight. Right hand, and Calzaghe eats that up too. Reid's hitting him with his best shots, but Joe Calzaghe is proving that he has a rock-like chin.
That was a terrific right hand. He's had to take far too many of those in this round.
Yes, you wouldn't say that Calzaghe is actually sparkling. He's having to work hard here.
Well, Reid definitely getting the better of it in this one. It's a bit rough and ready with those right hands. He's pulling out time and time again. Look good.
Calzaghe going with the body shot. The combinations to the head only hit the gloves. They're tiring now. It's hard work. It's getting into the trench warfare stage. Oh, terrific right again from Reid, who probably landed about 7 of those in that round. Calzaghe getting hit too often. He must have lost that round.
Yes, just pulling it back again. It was really just a one punch from Reid, that right hand, but Calzaghe just cannot fathom that out. He's getting hit with it time and time again. There, big right hand.
He really knocked his head back on his shoulders, didn't it?
Well, he's shown that for one thing that he's got a very, very good chin, Calzaghe, because he had to take several hard right hands.
It's getting quite grueling now, but Calzaghe here, we've looked for weaknesses in him, and I think there is one tonight. He's open to rights.
10 seconds.
Well, it is the shot that you tried to throw to the southpaw. It just happens to be Reid's best shot, and that's keeping him in the fight.
Here's the 10th round. 3 rounds to go. Reid was worried beforehand that Frank Warren, his manager, had said that Calzaghe was his man for the millennium. And he said, oh, thanks very much indeed, Frank. Glenn's scorecard suggesting that Reid needs to win all these last 3 rounds. That may well be the way of it. But he's still in the argument. Got a bit rough in there at times, hasn't it?
It has. Reid's he's fought a rough fight. Calzaghe hasn't really complained.
Nasty gash now on the cheek for Reid. It looks quite deep from here. The corner have done a terrific job on that. Ooh, another right hand from Reid. It just seemed to be a glancing blow, didn't quite land flush. tell you what, whichever way this goes, it's certainly not the end of the road, is it? For either of them, should they lose it, because say Reid was to lose it, and that's by no means a certainty. He's acquitted himself pretty well here, hasn't he?
Very, very well. This is a tough fight, and there's still not a lot in this. Calzaghe at no point has had it all his own way. Reid's been in there, catching him whenever he's made a mistake.
And they got the gloves up that time, Calzaghe, and blocked the right hand. They both showed tremendous resilience here. Both very durable. Will something give late on here?
Well, Reid still has plenty of fire, still letting that right hand go successfully. Calzaghe's trying to get the fast punches going, but not getting through with any great force.
It's a very decent fight, isn't it?
It's a very good fight. We thought it would be on paper. They were very well matched.
Calzaghe finding out here again that powerful as he is, that power doesn't blow away all his opponents. Tightish round. What did you think?
Oh my God, it's getting closer. I scraped that one for Reid. Calzaghe, his work is ineffective. He's trying to get these short arm little punches going, but there's nothing really in them, and Reid's catching them on the gloves. Reid's still dangerous and putting in plenty of work with that overhand right. So for me, that was a Reid round.
This is pretty tight, this, now. Look at that, how close it is on punches landed in the fight. Calzaghe 1-7.
Reid round.
This is pretty tight, this, now. Look at that, how close it is on punches landed in the fight. Calzaghe 177, says the computer. Reid 173, and I think it's tightish on the scorecards. That point deducted for the low blow might end up being critical here.
It really might, but certainly Reid is still well enough. Just 1 point on my card ahead for Calzaghe. It's all to fight for.
11th round, 2 to go. They'll both try to lift it now and steal the last 2 rounds on the scorecards. They may hold the destiny to who prevails in this big domestic clash. Reid just switching stance for a moment. Landing a right hand too.
Well, he's trying to pick up the tempo, Reid. I think that could be good for him to do. See what really pushed Calzaghe back. See what he can do on the back foot.
The word rematch is already beginning to flash through my mind. Calzaghe, good right. Reid rather came onto it. A lot of top boxers watching at ringside, and football people too. I've seen Sunderland manager Peter Reid over on the far side. Those are hitting the gloves. They're flashy from Calzaghe, but I think they hit the arms and gloves, those.
Yes, they weren't scoring points. They weren't getting through. Arm punches which just landed on the gloves.
Whether all the judges could see that, of course, is another matter. Sometimes fights look a little bit different from different angles. Good right to the body, Calzaghe. Oh, and the right cross, good shot. Calzaghe, and one to the body too. Better work now from Calzaghe here. Reid prepared to drop his gloves and stand there and slug.
Well, we always knew that deep down these are two good-looking guys, but they're not afraid to get down in there and slug it out.
Well, they won't be doing any male modelling engagements tomorrow. What a shot from Reid, but back comes Calzaghe with a left hand. Great right from the challenger, Robin Reid again. Both of them refusing to be dominated. Almost matching each other punch for punch. Oh, big right cross from Reid. How did Calzaghe take that? No effect. Reid feigns injury as Calzaghe launches again at him. This is a some round, this 11th.
This is a great round, and you can tell they're both throwing everything. I think they realise it's very close.
Calzaghe punches the air as if he won the round, but there were a lot of good shots landed in that round. Wouldn't want to be the judges trying to score that one.
I think you've gone the same as me. I couldn't stick my neck out and score on that one. Both of them landed with good punches. Nobody really, in my book, got the better of the round. It was an excellent round. Prepared just to stand there toe to toe and slug it out. And what was that 50-1 draw? It's not looking so bad now, is it?
Look at that. They've both landed 199 punches. What about that?
Well, I said the 50-1 draw's not looking bad.
And then they really would do it all again. And the crowd are on their feet here at the Newcastle Arena. They've enjoyed this. It's been some battle. They touch gloves. These two might have had a few angry words, but I think they've got a real respect for each other now. It could easily depend on this last 3 minutes for the WBO Super Middleweight Championship, as good as we thought it would be, between Robin Reid and Joe Calzaghe.
Well, that's how I've got it very, very close, hanging in the balance. Calzaghe's still just that 1 point ahead, so everything's still to fight for.
But Reid has come back to something like his best here tonight. He has re-established himself, I think, win, lose or draw, back on the world stage. If he is to get beaten, that would be the consolation, but he may yet nick this.
He's just showing that he's had a couple of poor nights recently, but he's a lot better fighter than he's shown.
I think he's needed the rest. He looks mentally recharged and refreshed from it. I think he'd gone flat and jaded. Too many hard fights in a row. Always had that theory about him. Oh, Reid with a big shot to the head again, and back comes Calzaghe with his left. Terrific fight this has developed into.
The cornermen in both corners are screaming for the men to come forward. Everybody, I think, knows this is a close fight.
Take your hat off to these two to be in the condition to produce an effort like this again. Punch for punch, toe to toe. What a finish.
They're both showing great hearts, great determination. This really has been a terrific fight.
Reid has blocked a lot of shots around his gloves, and he might argue that he's landed the more solid shots that have actually got through. Did then too, with the right hand.
how crucial is that 1 point deduction going to be?
Maybe very crucial. They're at it again, even in the closing seconds. There's the bell to end it. It ends with them in a furious exchange, and Roy Francis says, well done the pair of you, I think. What a great fight, he says. Goodness me, didn't they give the Newcastle public what they wanted there? We thought we'd have a fight here. We definitely got one. But who has prevailed? Who will get the nod from the judges? 2 from the United States, plus Britain's Paul Thomas. What do you think, Glenn?
I'm really struggling to split them. The last round I give to Reid with the more telling punches. That tallies out of my card as dead level. So I've got it down as a draw, but it was an excellent fight, and certainly we wouldn't mind seeing it again, would we?
I'm just looking around at a couple of my colleagues to see what they think, and they're all going, oh, could have gone either way. I think everybody's seeing that the same. I wonder if in that situation whether Calzaghe would just hold on being the defending champion. But look at that, there's the scorecard of Glenn McCrory, dead level. Scorecards being collated, and they'll need to be properly checked here. We don't want any mishaps, as has happened not in this country but once or twice abroad recently. One of the judges at a title fight called back his card and said, oh no, you didn't announce that right. So they need to make sure that it's been scored right. Calzaghe thinks he's won, Reid does as well, and we shall soon know. This, I think, is as tight can be, and the low blow deduction might be vital. Are we ready for the scorecards yet? Is Mike good already? I think he is. I think he's got the scorecards. I tell you what, whatever the result is, there'll be demands for a rematch, and we might get one.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 tremendous rounds of boxing, we have a split decision. Judge Robert Bird scores the contest 116 to 111 in favour of Joe Calzaghe. Judge Paul Thomas scores the contest 116 to 111 in favour of Robin Reid. And John Duggan scores the contest 116 to 111 in favour of the winner, and still
Calzaghe wins it, and I cannot believe that the judges had it that wide either way.
Unbelievable that there was 5 rounds difference in all the judges.
And I think everybody watching it at ringside thought this is a really close fight. 2 judges thought that Calzaghe had won it by 5 points, and the other one thought that Reid had won by 5 points. And the one who thought Reid had won by 5 points was the British judge, Paul Thomas. So what do you make of that? That is an amazing differential.
People could see the fight so different.
Interview, please. As soon as you can, thank you. I hope you got it, lads. Third world title fight, ladies and gentlemen, will follow in just a couple of moments.
Well, first of all, I think the first thing to say to both of you is thanks very much for providing such a classic fight. Joe, let me ask you first of all, did you think you'd won the fight? Because the judges couldn't agree, could they?
Yeah, I definitely thought I won the fight, but I was very disappointed in my performance. For some reason, I say, you know, no disrespect, Reid fought the right fight, fought an intelligent fight, all respect to him there. But you know, you can see I haven't been out the ring for 10 months. Frank knows that I've been out for ages with an elbow injury, and like at the end of the day, man. At the end of the day, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I'm still champion. But full respect to Rob, and he put up a good fight, and he got caught with some tremendous shots early on, and you know, he kept coming back. So you got to give him respect there.
Well, let's hear Robin's verdict, because the British judge thought you won by 5 points.
I'll tell you what, I'm not going to ball and say I thought I won it and blah blah blah. I'll be honest, right? I thought it was closest, because at the end of the day, it depends on what sort of judges you got. You got the judges. It reminded me of like Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler. Do you know what I mean? I knew I had to get on top of him, catch him with the big shot. I knew I couldn't match him for speed. I knew I could match him for power, though. Maybe I was a little bit, you know, I had a bit more of the harder dig. And I wasn't looking trying to, you know, knock him out. But I knew there was no point in trying to outbox him. You know what I mean? So it all went down to the judges at the end of the day. And I agree. You know, he won the fight. He was just picking his points. If I'd have had judges which would have preferred the in-fighter, you know, I'd have got it. Obviously, I had the British judge that did that.
The great thing, I think, from your point of view tonight is, although you've lost the fight, you've re-established yourself. I mean, it was a great performance.
I mean, I know we've slagged each other off and all that. I don't think we'll ever be best mates, put it that way. But I tell you what, I think I've gained his respect. And like I said from the beginning, I've always respected him. I respect him even more. He's got a tough chin. You know what I mean? He fought a clever fight. He knew maybe he couldn't knock me out. So he was trying to get on his back foot and box a bit more. You know, and I respect him. It's a great fight. It's what the public wanted. You know, Ben Eubanks and all that malarkey. Joe Calzaghe, Robbie Reid.
You two want to do it again, Joe?
Yeah, sure. Like, you know, we'll obviously sit down with Frank and see what goes on from here. Like I said, you'll never see Joe Calzaghe. You'll never see Joe Calzaghe in that form again. That's for sure. That's terrible.
Let's bring in Frank Warren here, because I think the public are going to say after that, let's do it all over again. Although Richie Woodall won't agree.
I always said from day one this would be a good fight. It'd be a tough fight. I said it was no walkover. I always knew that. You know, this glass thing in the ice cream, one thing for sure, it was not for either of these guys' chins. They got tremendous chins. They both took fantastic shots. They're good fighters, they entertained the public, and it's a fight that we'll definitely do again. We'll sit down with both of them and manage both of them. I don't favour either of them, but we'll sit down with both of them, and I'm sure we'll work something out to do again. Look at them now. I mean, this is what it's all about. They're all pals afterwards, and they've made some money, and the public were entertained, and we'll do it again.
Credit to British boxing. We can't wait to see it. Thanks a lot, Frank. Well done, fellas. Well done.
Get back in the ring. In the ring first, then can't let the crowd see. Let's go, John. We're going to do the press conference. Hang on, both. Just 1 second. Radio, quick. Let the radio man through. We've done what Joe? Joe, come here. Let's go, Joe. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we come to our third one-time